Hello. So, yeah, I think 14 people have joined so far. So I will just start now. The rest of the people, if they miss it, they can just go to our YouTube channel and then watch it later if they want. So first of all, yesterday somebody asked like, what's the difference between RAM and ROM? And then they had another question that why we cannot build RAM and ROM together. So yeah, that is a good question because we all have been studying RAM, ROM differences and all that, but I don't think most of us really know what they are and what are the differences. Or maybe we know a little bit. I also used to be like that, so I did little bit of, I checked online and other places. So basically, first of all, both RAM and ROM, they are primary memories, and please note that they are different from your hard disk, from your storage memory like RAM, ROM, storage memory. These are three different things. RAM, ROM, they come under the category of primary memories. Now, to understand the difference, first of all, we have to understand what the applications of these two are. So ROM, basically ROM has only one purpose, and that is to make sure the computer has enough instructions, enough programs to start. That's what it does. Please mute whoever is there. Please mute your mic, please. Okay. So ROM basically it's used for the bootstrapping. Now, what is bootstrapping? Some may not know, some may not know. Suppose you bought a new computer and the computer does not has an operating system. But even even in that situation, if you turn it on, you will see a menu. There will be a maybe a blue menu or a black and white menu. Okay, depending on what computer you bought and or in what year you bought. So now that menu, you have not yet installed any operating system, but you are receiving that menu because that is because of the firmware. Now ROM is also called firmware because it comes from the firm that has made your motherboard or your CPU. Okay, so now ROM is basically the program which helps the computer turn on, and because otherwise your computer is just lots of machinery built together and nothing else. So basically it's the initial program that is required to turn it on, or in technical terms that's called bootstrapping. Okay, now secondly, now what does RAM does? Now RAM basically, when the control unit or the CPU, it wants to perform an action, it wants to do anything. So basically two things, it requires two things. One, it needs to fetch data from somewhere, and second, it needs to store the result after processing it. So when you turn your computer on, even then also RAM is required. How? First, the RAM takes data from ROM. Whatever data is stored in ROM, from there it takes, and then it helps in turning on your computer. Later on, when you are using an application or you giving some kind of input, now that input it is stored in RAM. Like you are typing a letter in Microsoft Word, or maybe you are doing any kind of activity, whatever input you are providing, that is temporarily stored in RAM. Okay, so from there the operating system or the processor fetches that input, then processes on it, and then it stores the result in RAM. Now RAM, that's basically what RAM is used for. That's why it said the more RAM you have, the faster your computer, because the more RAM you have, the more like more what is it? One second. The more clock cycle, the more frequency your RAM has, the more number of instructions it can give in sorry, it can, the more data can be fetched from it in a short time. So that's why your process will be faster. So that is what RAM does. Now RAM is it's a volatile memory. So once you turn off your computer, you lose the whatever data was stored on RAM. Like you were writing a letter. Okay, now you were writing a letter, your computer power goes off, the letter is gone, because that letter, when you were typing, the input was stored in the RAM. And next we come to this, like someone asked, why cannot we make RAM and ROM together? The same guy asked yesterday. We cannot make them together because first of all, the basic difference is that ROM is a permanent memory. It comes by default from the manufacturer, it comes, and it has some very important programs or data that is important to turn on the computer. Now but RAM, it's a dynamic memory. It's like you use it for one purpose, now again that is erased, then you use it for another purpose. That's why you cannot make them together, because they both have separate, completely different applications. Okay, and they behave also differently, because if you turn off your computer, the data in your ROM still stays. If you turn off your computer, the RAM, whatever is there, it will erase. So then now that I think that's clear. Next thing, we were doing input units, I think. So we went through mouse. I think we all know mouse. It is the pointing device that is also used to point, select any kind of things. There are two different kind of mouse basically, and these days we do not see the other kind, that is the ones like the ball which had balls beneath them. Okay, so we mostly have optical mouse these days, where light is used to track the movement of the mouse. Okay, so next we have light pen. I think some of you have seen a light pen. Like it's on, it's used to point on the screen, and how it works, you can just read it here in the PDF later. But basically, it just pinpoints a particular wherever you point it on the screen. There, it will it will select that place, and the computer will know. Okay, the user wants to click here or check something here. So the next input unit we have here is touch screen. Yeah, these days we are all using smartphones, so all of them has touch screen only. So we can give input using our fingers. So that is one of the input devices, touch screen. Next is joystick. Yeah, those who play games or use some other kind of like they use CAD or something which needs precision, because in touch mouse, when you stop moving your mouse, the cursor will stop going. But when you have a requirement that you need the cursor to keep moving, then you use a joystick, because once you press a joystick, unless until you leave it and it comes to its initial position, it will keep, the cursor will keep going in whatever direction it is being sent towards. Okay, so next we oh yeah, keyboard. That's basically one of the most important input device, because other without a keyboard, you probably cannot do 90% of the activities that you need to do on a computer. Most of the input is given through that. Now scanners, they are called the eye of your computer, because whatever you need to whatever you have in physical form, any data that you want to digitize, if you want to make sure that you have it safe somewhere. Okay, any kind of paper document or whatever, that you can scan through using this and keep it. How it works, it has a like it has a camera, and those that camera has a lot, like thousands of cells. Each of the cells uh, like it checks on the whatever data you have, whatever paper or whatever you're given, it reads on that. And okay, okay, each of those, now this CCD, this small cells, they detect whether like where there is image, where there is light, where there is ink or not. And that's how they print a digitized image after they are done with this. Okay, so next is optical character readers. So optical character, now these are suppose you have written ABCD or whatever you have written with your hand on a paper, but now you want to digitize it without typing it. So in such case, this kind of devices are used. So you can just point that device, and that can detect what is that character, whatever you have written there. And it helps in digitizing things fast. If you want to if you have lots of like papers, lots of documents, and you want it digitized at the earliest, you can use an optical character reader. Okay, next is magnetic ink character reader. Now this is a fairly new kind of technology, because before this came into existence, there used to be a lot of check frauds in bank. Like lots of people used to put checks in some bank and withdraw money. But now using this, it can be verified that yeah, this check is valid, this is an original check. So this is very important these days. Like magnetic ink, like in this, a charged ink, some kind of characters are written on are stamped on the check, and this it has some kind of magnetic charge, and that is then read by this MICR reader. So that tells us if the check is original or not. Now, barcode reader, you all might have seen in malls or shops these days. Like all the product have a barcode, and you just have to flash the reader over it once, and then yeah, that product is inputted in the system that this product is selling or we have bought this item. Next is touchpad. All of the most of the laptops has this. Okay, so you can use the touchpad to do the same thing as you do as mouse. Rather than having a physical mouse, here you use your fingers to go wherever you want to go. Okay. So next is track point. I have never seen this, but since they have mentioned and I read it, like in some computers, like laptops, which are very small, okay, they don't have uh, they don't have like a space for a trackpad, touchpad or anything. So they use a small joystick like things between the buttons, and you can just use it like a joystick handle and use that to move your cursor here and there. Okay, but I have never seen this, but yes, but they have given the picture also. Okay, next is graphic tablet. This is also new to me, but basically I think it's something that the people who are in some kind of civil engineering or other kind of AutoCAD or stuff like that, they use this to make some drawings or diagrams, something, anything. Okay. Microphone, you all know, our phones, everything has whatever device can be used to input data, sorry, input sound, whatever you are trying to say, whatever input device is there, that is microphone. Okay, so next comes CPU. Now, yesterday we had discussed it a little bit. CPU, it's the brain of the computer. Everything you see, that's mostly all of the activity is done by the CPU. If you are inputting data, the CPU takes it. If you want to process something, if you want to play a game, most of it is done by the CPU. Okay, now the CPU is divided in few categorized in three parts. The first is main memory, second is control unit, and then third is arithmetic and logical unit. Now, control unit, as the name itself suggests, it is the unit that controls the flow of electronic data from each part, like where it needs to be sent, what data needs to be fetched from where, what data needs to be processed, and it also gives instruction to component that what you need to do. So this is done by the control unit. It's like the nervous system of the computer. Okay, so all the data that needs to go, how it needs to be processed, all this is controlled by the control unit. Next, we have arithmetic and logical unit. So basically, arithmetic unit, as the name itself suggests, it's all about the mathematics, all about the calculations, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. That all is done under this ALU, arithmetic and logical unit. And the logical part is what, that suppose I yesterday told this as well. Suppose you have two numbers. Somebody told you you have 10 and you have 12. So you have a statement that, okay, whichever number is bigger, subtract the smaller number. Now the computer does not has a brain. It does not know, okay, this is big, this is small. So what it needs some kind of logic to know that which number is bigger, which statement is true, which statement is false. So that for that we use a logical unit, and that helps the computer decide, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is true, this is false, this is big, this is small. So wherever there is a logical argument, that part is handled by the logical unit. So next we have the processor. Okay, okay, yeah, and another thing, these two units like ALU and control unit, they are both intact, embedded inside the processor, the microchip that these days we have, that contains these two units. Okay, and the processor itself is housed in a motherboard. Now, what is motherboard? Motherboard is a docking station, like there is a dockyard, if you have seen a shipyard maybe, or you can say a bus stand, where all the vehicles come, and all the vehicles come and go from there. Okay, so motherboard is basically docking station, which makes sure like all the components, they come and connect in the motherboard. Whatever service is there, whether it is a sound card, it's a video card, or any kind of component, at the end of the day they are all going to come and connect at the motherboard. So motherboard is that junction where everything is connected. The smaller things, the smaller equipments or components, they are fixed on the motherboard, and those which are bigger, they are plugged in via sockets, or for them there are other options to connect them. Okay, so this is the motherboard. So next we have okay, we just did the ALU, that's done. Now memory unit. Now I told you that in memory unit there are two types of memories. One is the RAM, another is the ROM. Basically ROM is used to turn on the computer, to bootstrap the computer, and RAM is used to fetch that data from the ROM, and then it processes, the control unit processes, and everything is done afterwards. So and another use of RAM is that whatever process takes place, uh, the storage of the input and the storage of the result for the process, that's done in the RAM. Okay, so next we have okay, these are the units of memories, like bits, bytes. The most basic unit is bits. 8 bits is equal to 1 byte. 1024 bytes is 1 kilobyte. 1024 kilobytes is 1 megabyte. 1024 megabytes is 1 gigabyte. Like these days, our storage is our RAM. Our RAM is also 4 GB, 16 GB, 64 GB, depending on how advanced your computer is. Okay, and our storage is in thousands of GBs. The secondary memory, that is the hard disk or SSD. Okay, so then now we have computer output units. Now what is the output unit? Any computer device that is used to give the result of the process data. That is, the data can be electronic, the data can be digital, the data can be visual, the data can be sound, anything after that we want to we are receiving. After all that is done, that is the output. Okay, so basically what are the commonly used output devices? One of them is CRT monitor, although these days it's absolutely obsolete. Most of we don't really see much of these. They used to be like old color TVs, like they used to be like the color TVs we had before, big sized monitors. They had a cathode ray tube, and from that tube electron beams were sent, and they were used in earlier days. After that we have, one moment, yeah, LCD devices. LCD flat panel monitor also. Now these have a like very thin films, and they have a crystal layers, and these crystal layers, they are polarized when light passes through them, and these crystal layers are charged and discharged accordingly. So accordingly light changes, and so an image is formed. Okay, so these are LCD monitors. There is another thing, plasma monitors, but plasma monitors are also not used these days. So next output device is printers. Now we all know what are printers. Anything that's in digital form. If you want to have it on a paper, on a photo paper, like that, for that, or any kind of two-dimensional physical form, that we need a printer to print it. So there are a few types of printer, like inkjet printer. In inkjet printer, it's like ink is thrown according to the image. Ink is thrown, okay, on the paper, that whatever the image is, accordingly ink is thrown on the paper, and that prints and the image, or whatever, whether it is character, whether it is a photo, it's, and it's also like these days we have color printers also, so we can print any color, or any colors, or combinations of colors. Next is laser jet printer. So laser jet printer, that is also one of like this is the faster printer, one of the faster printers, because inkjet, it takes a lot of time, because it takes a lot of time to throw ink, and then make a like a good structure in all that, and it's also costlier than laser jet. Now in laser jet, a charged, electronically charged drum is used, and then ink first on that drum, using a laser and a rotating mirror, the whatever the image we want to print, that is etched on that drum. It's like it's drawn on that drum, and then on that image, ink is also what the ink toner that is used. It's like powdered plastic. It's powder and plastic, so that is also charged. Now once this drum is charged, oppositely charged ink is drawn towards it on that image, and then when it touches the paper, that image, now there is another roller that is used to roll the paper. Now that roller has stronger charge. Now that roller pulls the ink back from the drum to the paper, and then it's under pressure and temperature that ink sticks on the paper. And that's how laser printer works. And laser printer is much faster. It is normally costlier when you go to buy it as compared to inkjet, but in terms of using, it's cheaper, much cheaper and much faster. Okay, next is we have sound output. Now whatever is their speaker or buffer, any kind of sound system that you have that helps you play the sound from any input, like from computer, from a tape recorder, from anywhere, that all comes in the sound output devices. Okay, so okay, so now that is done. Now I think we should start with this chapter is over. Some Q&A would be good so that we can discuss things together. And I think there are some questions here. Okay. Anyone who wants to give any input about the chapter, or they want to ask something, so that we can all answer and we can all question from each other. You can turn on your mic and you can start now. Is anyone speaking? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you discuss about the optical mouse? Can you just recap that?
Yeah, optical mouse, in that there is a light beam. Now that in whichever direction the light beam, that laser moves in, accordingly, that is recorded inside the mouse. Okay, and that data is sent to the computer, and then the computer uses the data to move the cursor with respective to that light movement. Okay, that is how the optical mouse basically works. Like when you move it, the light movement is tracked by components inside the mouse, and that movement, the data is sent to the CPU. Then the CPU tells what, like in which direction the light is going, and in the same direction the cursor moves.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anything?
Laser printer.
Hello?
Laser
Yeah.
printer, bro. Can you please tell the laser printer?
Can you please speak little clearly? You are not. I'm not able to understand what you are saying.
Bro, laser printer.
Laser printer. Okay. Now, yeah. Okay, laser printer. It will. I will need to explain it little slowly so you can understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a small YouTube video so that we can all watch it together. And then if I will also explain what exactly that is. Okay. So first we will just first go ahead and we will watch a video how a laser printer works. Because yeah, truth be told, until today I also thought some laser prints on the paper, but that's not true. I used to think that some laser, it just does something, some magic, and then its print comes out. But today I found out that that's not how it works. So let's go ahead with this. Yeah, that is also an important thing. Can any of you guys take our maths class?
It will be just like a discussion.
By the way, right now I have shared the link for that in our chats. You can just click on the link and then you can watch the video. It's a 2-minute video. Everyone can watch it and then come back here. Or maybe we can just do one thing. We watch it after the session is over, and tomorrow we can come and discuss it if we don't understand. We can do that so that we can use the time now to do some other discussions.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you were saying about maths classes. Guys, please turn on your mic and give some input.
Yeah, they're just like dummies.
No, they're not dummies. They're also maybe they're shy. Maybe it's their first time also. That's a possibility.
Yeah, no one is here professionals.
Yeah,
I
right.
think so.
Yeah,
So
excuse me, what you
please-
said about maths?
Yeah,
yeah, about please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mariam.
Yeah, I just said like
Okay, so we need someone who can teach us maths because tomorrow I am going to start with another subject, that is introduction to C, and we will be having our first class for C language. Okay, but we need someone who can also start with the maths, because as far as I know, the college is not going to conduct much classes, and whatever classes they are going to conduct, it will start in December. But if you guys know joined the webinars, they told us that our classes already started from 1 November. So in papers, we are already students of BCA, and our session has already started in 1 November 2021. So that's why we need to prepare ourselves only. Now there are many students in WhatsApp group or wherever, they said no, you have to do self study only, bro. Okay, yeah, I know we have to do self study, but like it's not feasible for everyone to just study by their themselves. Maybe they need a tutor, a guide, or maybe they don't have that much time to just sit and do it by themselves all the time, although at the end of the day everyone has to do it by themselves only. But if someone can start and do take some classes here for mathematics, that would be very nice.
anyone is good in maths over here. So you can just take the lead.
And they don't even have to be that good. If they are doing just fine, that's also
Yeah.
because we all will share
Yeah, we will
whatever
help.
is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do maths for tomorrow.
Of course, you can do maths for tomorrow if you are willing.
Yeah, but the problem is my timing is different from your timing. That's the problem.
So, what is your timing
But
exactly?
Now it's like 6:11 p.m.
PM.
Yeah.
So, what time would you be comfortable?
The problem tomorrow I have work, so I'm not sure when exactly. So maybe tomorrow 8 my timing, like maybe 10 or 11 at
Okay.
your timing.
Yeah, okay, that can be arranged. We have to discuss with everyone if they are comfortable coming at 8, or maybe somewhere in between. If you can, like right now you have 6:11. If you can come up to 7 only, 7 also is fine. Like we can
Okay.
attend a class from
Yeah,
9
yeah.
to 10 our time, right? Where are you from, by the way?
KSA.
Huh?
KSA.
Uh,
So that
yeah, it's not really clear where you are from.
yeah, I'm from Saudi Arabia.
Arabia. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So okay, yeah, you can start. You can come tomorrow, but you have to inform us at least 1 hour ago so that everyone is prepared, because everyone is doing something and something. So if you can inform 1 hour ago, then tomorrow instead of C class, we can do maths class. Okay.
Okay, I will try. I won't promise, but I will try my best.
No, definitely. It's definitely it everyone's convenience will be noted, and also yeah, that's why we have this recording feature. So in case someone cannot join the classes, you can just go to the YouTube channel. I will once I have uploaded today's session there, I will share the link of our YouTube channel also. Okay, so you can go and go watch at your own time. Okay, and I am pretty sure like it's my belief that if all of us we participate little bit cooperatively, I am pretty sure whatever we do here is going to be much more interesting than what you see on the LMS. Okay, I'm not trying to disrespect it, but I personally think much of it is boring. Okay, so please don't mind. But I think what we
I
do
know.
here interactively, it is going to be way more helpful and way more better. Anyone else wants to say something, please?
Okay, I'll find
Hey guys, we have 16 people on the on this chat right
Shubham
now.
Kumar wants to say something, I think.
Yeah, please go ahead. Someone's mic is playing around.
That's
Okay.
Husna's.
Sorry, it was my mistake.
Yeah, it's okay.
I said I'll try
Anyone
my
else?
best to make it tomorrow.
If no one else has anything to say, then I think we should end today's session.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Okay. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll be sharing everything, whatever we had in the YouTube channel, and then I will share the YouTube link to our WhatsApp and MS Teams channel. Okay. All
So
right.
you can
Thank you
share on
everyone for
WhatsApp?
joining. Yeah, I will just share the link on WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay.
So because uploading is going to be a very long video, so I don't think WhatsApp will support uploading there.
Okay.
So I'll just share the link, and they can browse on YouTube, etc.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Utkarsh, for taking this kind of initiative.
Yeah, because I myself cannot read by myself, so I know like it's very difficult for me. That's why some selfishness is there, but I think it will benefit all of us. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for joining. I'm ending the session now.